Hello guys, it is time for a new vlog. So we are in the month of August. I am not doing my own readathon this month, but I am co-hosting one. So I'm I am co-hosting a readathon that is hosted by Mashu from the channel Bookworm, and so I will have the announcement video linked down below. I am hosting Team Attribution, and so this is a cooperative readathon in which we're working together in order to uncover clues that can help us come to the solution, which will be a prayer, or two prayers actually at this point in time. And so basically we have 20 prompts that we need to read for, and at the end of the week 5 of those prompts per prayer will be disappearing. So it's a lot of coordination, which I really like about this readathon. And so as I am the host of Team Attribution, I decided that I was going to just see what was left over of the prompts. Originally the idea was that you just needed to read one book per prompt, but then because of the difference in team sizes we decided to go for page count after all, and so now we have to make sure that we get to 750 pages per prompt. And so I could have maybe chosen something else in the end, but then I decided to stick with my original choice, which was to read for the Rowan Tree, which is a book with a protection trope, and I'm reading The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan, which is a book about a beast that savages the French countryside and a guy who has to go back there 20 years later because the threat is stirring again, and so he has to protect the local populace and try and hunt his beast down. Unfortunately, not really enjoying it at this point in time. I am like 40% in or so. I'm a little bit further. I listened to it on the way to my parents' place and back as well, so I'm just a little bit further than that. But I don't know. I was attracted to, I guess, the fact that this is a little bit of a different setting fantasy compared to most of the fantasy settings that I read. I was attracted to the idea of a story about this werewolf, or like the first beast that like is werewolf-like folk telling, I guess. And I was attracted to the queer element because it is very much implied in the back that he had a romantic relationship with a guy that he met over there 20 years in the past. And those elements are all there, but it is much more action focused, I would say, than I tend to enjoy. I feel like we don't really get to know the character very well. We have this adventure alongside our character, but we don't really dive into the character. We don't really get to know much about his personality, his history, and all of those types of things. A lot of it is also a mystery to him as well, so I guess we'll find that out later within the book. But I'm mainly annoyed because I wanted more of that queer element. The queer element is there, and the story is told through 3 timelines basically, and so we are going back to that past timeline 20 years ago and seeing the events unfold in real life. But yeah, I just need more of that, because I feel like currently the queer element is maybe like 5% of the book, and yeah, I guess I need more than that, because I'm not necessarily all that interested in the monster aspect of it. What I did really like as well is there's some sort of like flamboyant side characters. There's this succubus who he basically has in his sort of like employment is being very generous. It's mainly that she's like basically like imprisoned to him or something, like, you know, bound to him through some sort of a curse. I like the succubus character. And then he has a demon living inside of him, and I do also kind of like the snarkiness of the demon, or like how the demon is constantly trying to eat people's souls, and then like the main character is like, no, we're not gonna do that. But I'm not all that interested in the character himself. I don't feel like we get a ton of development when it comes to the 2 male characters, and, you know, like, aside from physical lust, what draws them into one another. And like this other character is also like somebody we don't really get to know. I feel like we get to know nobody within the book so far. It's very much more focused on the actions, and then I'm just not that interested in the actions. I will continue, I think, because I am listening to this, and, you know, it isn't a big chore neither, but I will say that I'm not fully invested yet, and I don't know, something has to happen for me to get excited about this again, and I'll just be going through the motions in the meantime with it, I think. But yeah, it also has this spiritual aspect to it, I guess, which I didn't really know ahead of time, but basically we have these impersonations is not the word that I'm looking for, but basically we have these religious figures, these god figures who are basically able to take over certain people and like live it through them. And so we have like the Archangel Michael, for example, making an appearance, and then the god of war Ares also making an appearance. And I don't know, I'm not vibing with that aspect of the book neither. And so yeah, I guess I don't like the simplicity in some sense of the moral landscape of this world, I guess, and maybe that will change, because in principle he is the moral ambiguity of this story, because he's a person who is working towards good, who is living together with a demon in his body, and who has to go through and who has to do questionable things from time to time in order to feed the demon, in order to be able to rely on the demon, in order to help people out as well later on. And so in principle there is grey morality, but when it comes to the creatures or some of the characters we've met along the way, it feels like I've been missing that grey morality. Something that doesn't necessarily interest me all that much is a villain that is just pure evil, and that is currently what we are dealing with, and so that just doesn't excite me. But so yes, that is going to be the first book that I read. I was thinking about like leaving it at just that at the time being and not reading it alongside something else, but I might actually change my mind about that. But today, in any case, I don't really have much time left to listen to something else or read something else, because I am going to see Spider-Man at 7:30, and it is like 20 before 7, so I'm just going to probably listen to the rest of the chapter that I was listening to when I drove home, and then I'll be getting ready to go to the cinema, and that'll be it for today, probably in terms of reading. And so yeah, maybe tomorrow after work I will pick something else up, but this is definitely going to stay my commute book for the time being. But yeah, I will be cycling for like 3 hours plus over the coming 2 days, so it will already be a huge chunk of the remaining time that I have in this book, just in terms of the commute back and from work. So yeah, not a great start, but hopefully we can improve. Hello, I have finished The Red Winter and I still don't like it. I will say the final half hour I was definitely struggling to care about the contents. I think I cared about none of the characters, didn't care about the religious aspect that I wasn't prepared for going into it, didn't have enough of the queer relationship that drew me into it, didn't really get character motivations, and yeah, by the end of it I was kind of rooting for our main character to just die. It was an ending that I was actually rooting for, even though I knew that it wasn't the ending. There's cannibalism in this. It did not save the book for me, and so yeah, that's like, do I need to say more about this book? I don't think so, right? But that means that we have to go and look for another book, and ideally a book that I can finish before the weekend starts, so before Saturday, because on Saturday the prompts will disappear at some point, and so anything that isn't at 100% at that point in time is potentially in danger of being disappeared. So in that regard, it would be best for me to find a book with different timelines, but that is quite short and I don't have anything short on these shelves. Academic setting for 420 pages more or less. Fruit on the cover or some sort of a crop for 334. And then we have a cozy read. I don't think I have a short cozy read on here. And then flower on the cover. Now, The top ones are sequels, so that's also already like, or not all of them are sequels, but this could have been nice if it could have had a like flower. I mean, these are potentially flower shaped, but I do think it's quite indulgent to consider it a flower. Operation Bounce House. It would be weird to have a flower. It has a chicken on it. So, no subscription book, no hardcover. In terms of the short stuff, Know My Name does not have anything on the cover, and I also don't think it's told in like multiple timelines, unfortunately, because this is like short, could work for something. Probably a contender for at least the fruit on the cover is The Tree Graces by Amanda Craig. That appears to be some sort of a fruit hanging on the tree. This is almost 400, so 389 pages. How much do I need for fruit on the cover? 334. So this is probably the best, and actually this is a book that I've really been wanting to pick up, so maybe we should just stop the search. We also have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia, which is also pretty good contender, and that one is 315, so that's a little bit too short. Does it also have a flower? No. So I would say that is out of contention. Also, academic setting is an option, but I don't actually know that I have a book with an academic setting, but this one apparently yes, because it's like it's about young women studying at a certain college, desiring a new and different type of life. So let's see, this is 389, something like that. Academic setting, nope, I need over 400 for that, so no. The director, don't think that that is for any of my remaining prompts. Wind and Truth, don't get me started. A Hunt for Jackals, nope. Rain Shadow Orphans is cozy, but definitely too long. I mean, it's definitely not something that I can finish before Saturday. And then The Last Contract of Isako Neither. So I think this is going to be the one, and we're going to have to just aim for it being something that I can finish in time for Saturday. If I don't finish it in time, and this prompt disappears, hopefully it doesn't disappear for both prayer A and B, and so I could still count it for prayer B, for example. But also, this does also contain elderly protagonists, so it could already definitely count for that prompt as well, and potentially other prompts as well that I'm just maybe not, I mean, I haven't looked too far into the prompts at this point in time neither. So in the Tuscan hilltop village of Santurno, the setting for Amanda Craig's entertaining and bracing new novel, the three graces of her title are preparing for a spring wedding. Adorning this idyll, Craig's graces, Ruth, Martha and Diana, are a trio of elderly expatriates with a total of 4 breasts, 5 eyes and 3 hip replacements between them. Witty, sharp-eyed and ridiculously enjoyable. So, looking at 3 elderly women in Italy, I've been really meaning to pick this up for a while now, and the reason why I haven't really been indulging in that sort of like desire is because it is one of the sort of like mid-range books on my TBR in terms of how long it's been on there. And so I've been more inclined to prioritize the older stuff or to just like immediately get to the newer stuff, and so this kind of falls in between sometimes. And so sometimes when I'm considering getting to it, it's like, yeah, but maybe let me pick up something else. And so I have definitely been thinking about picking it up because my reading has been very fantasy heavy in the first half of the year, and so in July I did pick up a few non-fantasies as well, but so I'm eager to continue that trend now with the Three Graces, and so hopefully I can still finish that by Saturday. It is close to 400 pages, so that is quite a lot actually, because That would mean reading 100 pages still today, tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. And yes, we are already the evening of the first day, so maybe I can make up for that. And I don't think I have access to the audiobook for this one, so my commute minutes will have to go to something else. So I'll probably already pick something out for next week for my commute. But yeah, let's try. We're gonna try. We're gonna try and get through as much of this book as possible. Hey guys, I'm over here to test my new microphone and give you guys an update, because the first week of the Wanhériffe War readathon has gone by. We have just found out which are the prompts that are going to be disappearing, and we were actually quite lucky with our team, because basically we had logged 16 out of 20 prompts for prayer A, and I think like 4 out of 20 for for prayer B. And with the 5 prompts that disappeared, we lost none for prayer A, which, like, it was definitely a possibility, but it was also very likely that we were going to lose 1 prompt, which didn't end up happening. And we lost only 2 for prayer B, which is extremely lucky considering we only locked like 4 prompts for that particular prayer. So we still have the majority of prompts available to us, and now there's also prayer C to unlock. So we will still have our work cut out for us. But so I have been making progress in The Three Graces by Amanda Craig. So I'm now some 44% into this one. And so I can talk a little bit more about it. So we're definitely following like these 3 elderly ladies who are all expats who are living in Italy at this point in time. They knew one another from before, but it's not like they were like the best of friends or anything like that. It's just 3 women who found themselves in this place together, and then they were like the people from their own acquaintances that they ended up becoming closest to because of proximity, basically. And so we have differing life paths. So one of them is an American, the other one is a German who ended up living in the UK for a while, and then the other one is a British aristocrat who has fallen on hard times when it comes to her finances, and as well to the fact that her husband is dealing with dementia, and a pretty severe stage of dementia at this point in time, where he's definitely becoming quite violent. And she is still taking care of him and taking him just to this sort of like shelter every day, but then taking him home again every evening as well. One of the other ladies that we're mainly looking at, she is taking in her son and his fiance as they're getting married on her estate. And so she's dealing with the preparations for that. Her son is marrying an influencer, and though she kind of trusts him upon this path, kind of told him to get married, she's now wondering whether they actually really suit one another or not. And this marriage is also definitely putting a strain on her because financially it's quite a big endeavor, and she's also just dealing with a lot of preparations. And then the third woman, she has her grandson Alexander over, and there's not too much going on with her storyline yet, I feel like, but I'm sure that will come. And so it's a lot about these three women, their three different paths, but also about the bride who has come over, and we're also following the perspective of the grandson, for example. And at the same time, their sort of like trusted caretaker, a local guy called Enzo, has shot somebody in the dark, and he's trying to find the person who he has shot before this leads to catastrophes in his life. I'm enjoying it, but it's definitely not yet like something out of this world amazing or anything like that. But I'm definitely enjoying it for the time being. And yeah, let's see what ends up happening in the rest of this book. I enjoy this sort of like group of women who are kind of reliant upon each other for company, companionship, and practical things, and who, as a consequence, are also kind of, you know, overlooking some of each other's flaws, and just choosing to be able to live with one another and overlook some of the things that might be tearing them apart if they were to live in, let's say, a big metropolis where you can easily find other people to form attachments with. And so I think those small little differences that they are currently just kind of suppressing and not really talking about, they might come to a head later within the book. But then I've also started another book in the meantime, because I do always listen to an audiobook on my commute as well. And so for that, I have started a new book, which is too far away at the moment. So for you, which is to read an old book, I have decided to go for the interpretation of a book that has been on my TBR for a long time. In my case, that isn't necessarily saying much, because all of my books stay on my TBR for a maximum of 1 year. So this book is a book that was added to my TBR in October 2025, and that is Fevered Start by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the sequel to Black Sun, and this is the Broken Binding edition. In Black Sun, we were looking at mainly three characters. We're looking at a Teak captain who has been tasked with accompanying this mysterious man to the city of Tova, where he has a destiny to fulfill. She is dealing with prejudices that people have against the Teak people, and she is very much intrigued about the presence of this mysterious man. Serapio, who is this mysterious man, has been raised his entire life in preparation for a mission in which he will become the Crow God reborn. And our third character, Naranta, is the sun priest who is living in the city of Tova and who is preparing for festivities over there. She is dealing with a lot of internal strife within her organization, as some people think that she's taking too much of a new direction with the Watchers. They are thinking that she is putting them too much into the direct line of the people. They should be an organization that is above everybody and removed from everybody, whereas she wants to bring the organization closer to the people again, so that the people can see the benefits that are to be gained from supporting her clan. So yeah, I enjoyed the first one, definitely. I think I gave it about like 3.5 stars. So I was definitely intrigued about the story of Serapio and Giala, and I didn't care quite as much for the Sun Priest side of things, but I definitely think that there is enough of interest within that storyline as well, and definitely with the way that that has come to a close within the first book. And so we are now dealing with the second book that also has some interesting thematics about, like being prepared all of your life for a certain purpose and what comes after that, what is left when that purpose is no longer. And so I'm enjoying that side of things, definitely. But we're also still kind of setting up the direction of the second book to some extent at this point in time. I am 55% in. I am making no progress during this weekend, or like small progress here and there, because I do mainly intend for this to be my commute book to work, and I do definitely think I have enough hours on the commute for the week to come for me to finish this book, and it wouldn't really make sense for me to start another one next week, because I will be going to London on Thursday evening. And so, if I were to start something on Thursday, for example, for the commute, I'd have to take a long break from it. So it's best for me to try and steer away from reading in this book this weekend so that I can definitely finish it so that I can finish it in the week and preferably finish it as late as possible within the week. But so yes, I have, so that's all the progress that I made reading wise. And then yesterday I also went to see The Odyssey in cinema, and I wouldn't say disappointed because I also had lowered my expectations a lot. I personally didn't really think that it looked all that interesting from the trailer. I didn't really like the look. And I will say that when it comes to having actually seen the movie, I think that the look is definitely better. I didn't really mind the bleakness of the visuals all that much when it came to the actual movie itself, though probably that does have to do with like my overall criticism of the tone, because I do feel like the tone is very much like serious and dark. Whereas, the most fun that I had during this movie was kind of remembering the story from the cassettes that we used to listen to as children. And so I remember, like, I learned during the movie to remember these as being like really fun, adventurous, silly type of scenarios that were taking place. And obviously, a children's version of these stories is going to highlight the fun of it. But, this was definitely not a fun, light type of adventure. And it definitely highlighted the gruesomeness, the brutality, and the darkness of the things that are happening within the story. And I think that to some extent is to its detriment. I think what I like most, like the movies that I like most, are often the movies that kind of manage to combine these two, to combine levity and seriousness. Let's say like a Project Hail Mary, like an Everything Everywhere All at Once. A movie that makes me go like, oh my God, this was amazing, is a movie that can make me laugh out loud and cry my eyes out. And with The Odyssey, I never felt like crying. Like there's one scene that I can imagine people getting emotional over, but that's really the only thing that I can imagine anybody even getting emotional over. I feel like this felt like an epic adventure, but it also kind of felt like a hollow adventure. And so I think it's good, definitely, but I definitely think that the story behind the movie, the story of the making of it, and, like the first time filming entirely on IMAX and the whole sort of like IMAX screen, like new IMAX format type of story, all of those are things that have drawn everybody to the cinema, but the word of mouth was never going to bring people to the cinema. I don't think this movie has people who are so passionate about it that it would be able to draw people to the cinema. It's not like an Everything Everywhere All at Once, where there are people who go so hard for this movie that they will tell everybody that they know, like, you have to go and see this movie. No, I just don't see The Odyssey ever doing that. Like, I just don't think it's that good of a movie. And so that's a little bit of sad, because I do think that this movie is going to score at the Oscars. I mean, I wouldn't mind it failing. I wouldn't mind it being like the Oppenheimer story, where everybody was praising Oppenheimer through the roof, and then it ended up not really cashing in on a lot of that. I wouldn't mind it being that case, but then there has to be another movie that comes out and like takes it. I would love for that movie to be Project Hail Mary, but I don't think that I've seen enough critical conversation about Project Hail Mary to think that that is actually going to be the case. So yeah, I hope for something else to do it, but on the other hand, it would also be good for a movie that is such a box office success to also gain this type of critical recognition. But so yeah, that's going to be it for my update for now. I'm going to try and get through as many pages as possible in the Three Graces today. I do have a museum visit that I've planned for later today, so I do still have plans. But aside from that, I'll be mainly reading, but I'll also be filming and editing a little bit. And I have to check this clip because I don't know about the audio quality of this new mic that I'm trying out. Search for affection, but searching isn't finding. Sit back, relax, cause love is blinding. Searching for affection, but searching isn't finding. Sit back and relax, cause love is blinding. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Strange world we live in. All we want is loving, searching for things unspoken. We can't hold this token. Snack to the trail. No, don't go off the back. Going in a circle, lost, no going back. Lost and we're not going back. Searching for affection, but searching isn't finding. Sit back, relax, cause love is blinding. Searching for affection, but searching isn't finding. Sit back and relax, cause love is blinding. It's a strange world we live in. All we want is loving, searching for things unspoken. We can't hold this token.
Alright guys, I am in a hurry because I've got 20,000 things to do and just one evening to do all of them. So I have to pack for London because tomorrow after work I need to leave, and I need to leave like early because at 5:30 I need to be in the station in Brussels. So yes, no time after work tomorrow to still do something, okay? Maybe before work, but let's not invoke that, okay? Then I need to shave my legs because it's going to be super warm, so I'm going to be wearing shorts. Need to do some laundry because I think I need some stuff from the laundry for my packing. Need to read my book because I want to finish my book before I leave, because I need to log it for this week for the Wanhériffe war. So otherwise I need to take it with me for like what? At this point in time I still have like 56 maybe pages to read. So, you know, I don't want to log that with me for a couple of pages, you know, because I hopefully will not struggle to read at least like, I don't know, 30 pages in it today. Then ideally I film and edit for a video for Saturday, which is going to be this video. And then I should also ideally cook, but that's already like between brackets because I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. So I need to cook so that my leftover HelloFresh does not go to waste, because yeah, I've just been eating out a little bit too much because I've just been relying on faulty mats for a little bit too long. And then I need to go and see the eclipse. Wish me luck. I think we're starting now, figuring out the load of laundry that I need to do, and then we can start by shaving my legs and starting to pack so that I also really know what I still need. So maybe I should try the packing first, but I can already figure out what I want to put in the laundry, and you know, we'll go from there, right? Because we need to be perfectly planning this. Good morning, guys. It is very inconvenient for me to have to film this clip because I filmed this yesterday evening. It's part of all the chaos of the last day, And then I was editing this video this morning, and it turned out that I filmed in slow-mo. So yes, final update. I didn't end up doing all of the things that I was supposed to do, so I do still need to edit this morning, and now apparently also film one more final clip. And then I need to shower, which wasn't on yesterday's list, because that was going to be what I had to do for today. And I need to pack. So yes, I don't have much time for this update, so let's go through it. I did end up finishing the Three Graces by Amanda Craig, so I ended up enjoying it. But you know, like, it's not out of this world, but I do love the fact that we have three older protagonists within this one. And the author is also talking about how she wanted to include more elderly protagonists in her work because there are so few works that talk about elderly characters as if life stops at 50. It's just like, yeah, at 50, you're like at the midway point of your life with modern medicine. And so, you know, there's so much more life that is lived after that. There's so many more adventures that people go on after 50. And, you know, there's even changes that still happen to people and people's mentality after 50. And so she wanted to include more elderly characters and also characters with viewpoints that she doesn't agree with and that she finds somewhat despicable, but also showing that those viewpoints, you know, those people aren't monsters. Those people have those viewpoints because they grew up in a certain way, potentially, and they can also change, or at least learn to see things from the other side and learn to empathize with the people that they are seeing as, you know, a burden on their society, like the refugees. And then I will quickly talk about the third perspective that I didn't really have a story for yet before, which is Martha. So in Martha's storyline, we're looking very much at that sort of like denigration, that physical denigration of your physical health, as Martha is somebody who has been a concert pianist all of her life, and she has basically been supporting her husband's career, who was a singer, and has kind of put her career to the sidelines a little bit, but she is very much like a slave to her craft. She is very disciplined about getting her practice in every day, but this is starting to become more and more difficult, or at least more and more painful. And so in her storyline, we will be looking at the physical toll of, you know, getting old, and of the body not always following where the mind wants to go, which is a storyline that kind of speaks to me as a disabled woman, and is something that I already kind of deal with at this age as well, at this point in time. And then we have the other book that I had actually already finished before that, and that is Fevered Start by Rebecca Rodenhorst. This is the second book in the Beneath Earth and Sky series, and unfortunately this one didn't work as well for me because this feels more like an intermediate book for me, but also just I don't really like the type of storyline where, you know, people are trying to figure out what to do, where people don't really have goals or anything like that. They're basically just like looking for a new goal, because basically what I liked about the first one most is that it had this like very clear direction towards an event that was going to take place at the end of the book. So the entire book long we are kind of growing towards that one event, and we kind of know from more or less the beginning that that is going to be like the culmination of the book. And in this one, this culmination is over, and characters have been living for that culmination all of book one and way before book one. And so now that that is over, people kind of have to look for a new purpose, new direction, new acts, new choices that they will be making, but they kind of have to still, there's kind of like left without direction at the beginning of this book, which I don't particularly enjoy. And then something it also does that I don't tend to enjoy is breaking up the band. So there are two characters who were kind of sharing the same timeline, the same storyline, more or less, within the first book. And those characters have now been split apart. They're no longer in the same location. They're no longer part of each other's story for the time being. And I always dislike that. I understand the purpose of the story. I understand why this choice was made, but personally, I just prefer to see them together. And so now I'm like, yeah, but I want to see their interactions. I want to see them getting to understand one another better and stuff like that, like we did in the first book. And now we don't have that. And so, yes, those are two elements that are kind of contributing to my overall meh feeling with the second book. So hopefully the third book can kind of pick it back up for me. But so yeah, I'm about to go to London, and even though I'm not packed, I'm still gonna be going. So it's gonna be a rush pack job. But also, what do I really need? I just need to put some essentials in there and leave the suitcase as empty as possible because I'm definitely gonna be buying stuff there. But so the London content is going to be in either a separate vlog or probably just in next week's vlog because not next week's, in the next vlog for the second half of August, because I've been to London many times, so I don't necessarily think that I'm gonna be doing a whole ton of vlogging over there, but you never know. And so yeah, with that, I'm going to end this particular vlog, upload this footage, go and take a shower so that by the time that I'm back, I can edit and render this video so that when I get back home after like somewhere in the afternoon, I can still upload it to YouTube and get it to you guys on Saturday. But so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you guys for the next one. Bye!